Hey guys, Julian here, and today I'm super excited to be showing you the much requested how to make atmospheric house music like Kettenkarussell. As usual, you can get the project file and samples, MIDI and presets and all that stuff in this video in the description, and if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there because it's already available. Let's get started. So, the first sound that we have here, these chords which sound like this. This is a pretty simple chord progression. It's just playing G minor to D sharp major up to F major. So really not that complicated. It's just going up here to these notes up top. You can see if I put this down, you can see, yeah, so this is just the chord up an octave pretty much from these notes down here. Another thing is up here, I've got these minor, or this minor seventh here, and then on this one it's a major seventh. So this just kind of adds a little bit of an extra thing. If I turn those off, you can hear these are just like straight chords, but if I add those, kind of adds some depth to it, especially with the second chord. So, for the sound on this one, it's made using operators. This is a pretty simple sort of like FM organ type of sound. What we've got here is just two sine waves. You can see the second one is only up a little bit. This is really just mostly this first sine wave. And then you can hear what that second one is adding. It's just giving it a little bit of something extra. I've got that second one detuned a little as well, which helps with making it a bit more interesting. And yeah, then after that, we just have a bit of chorus, kind of spreading the sound out. This makes it more smooth and watery as well. And then we have a bit of reverb, and that is it for the chords. The next sound we have here is this FM string sort of sound, which sounds like this. So this is just kind of adding something more atmospheric, kind of droning over top of those other chords. Like if I play you this whole mix without this, it's very much like one straight thing the whole way through. But if you add this drone on top of here, these strings, it adds like some musical atmosphere. And I feel like this is kind of tying the whole thing together more because it's making it all, it's like adding another dimension essentially. So for the notes on this one, it's pretty simple. It's just holding out this long G, and then it goes up here, there's a C, and then down here there's a D. So it's just kind of stuff that plays off of those other chords really well, especially the second chord. The sound on this one is made using operator. Like I said, this is an FM sound. So what we've got here is, actually, I'll show you, there's this chord here. So this is just giving us, doubling up everything that you can see here, but an octave down. So that's something to be noted there. But yeah, you can see, this is just a simple FM sound. It's just 4 sine waves, so nothing really that complicated, but I've just got them all up at different places here. You can see I've got them detuned a little bit, and I've got them at a few different octaves. And then what's happening is this creates like this big kind of like saw wave-esque sound. So then what's happening is we're putting that into a low pass filter, and the low pass has a really slow envelope on it, as you can see. And so it's opening it up over the course of this track. And this also gives the track some movement, because what's happening is you have like this first one, which just kind of starts in one place and then just like hangs like that the whole way through. But this gives us something now that's kind of building, and it makes it a little bit more exciting. I've also got a little bit of an LFO on that filter, just slowly moving it. And that is it for inside of the synth. After that, I've got a bit of chorus. This just kind of spreads the sound out a bit and, you know, gives it some more space. And I've also got this reverb here, and this is giving it even more space. You know, this really helps when you have a sound like this that's like slowly building, because it makes that build that much more epic sounding, I feel like, when you have all these reverb tails. So yeah, that is it for the string. The next thing we have here is this bass, which sounds like this. So this is a pretty simple bass line actually. I was trying to get kind of a similar vibe to maybe, and this is basically what it is. It's just like these little bass stabs. Well, like it's not kind of like do 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 do, or even playing something that you're not playing that often. It just gives you these little things at the start of every bar. Yeah, and it's also playing off of the fifth. You can see the main note here is C. That's the fifth. We're in the key of G, so. That's what's making it have that kind of like jazzy feel when you play it with the rest of these chords. For the sound on this one, it's made using operator. This actually has no FM. I have this FM algorithm. So basically, these are all these different orders that you can order the different operators in, with operator or different oscillators, whichever you want to call it. But with this one, it's just all of them playing side by side with no FM. So that's what we're doing here. I've got a saw wave, and I've got a little bit of a sine wave just to give it some sub. So then I have those going into a low pass filter. The low pass was giving it this pluck. Just got a bit of an envelope on that. And I've also got it key tracked. So key tracking is one of those things that's kind of like a small detail that makes a big difference. What it is it's where you have, so like if you think about it, when you play a note on the keyboard, if you play a lower note, it plays a lower note. If you play a higher note, it plays a higher note. This is how key tracking works. It's basically just that with like any parameter, not just the pitch. So in this case, I have it on the filter, like I said, and this is good with this bass line because it's bouncing up across these multiple octaves here. So we have like this low note is really deep, but then when we start getting up here, you can hear like it gets kind of a little bit more open, and it just sounds a little bit cooler this way. So then for effects on here, I just have a very small amount of this echo doing dotted eighth notes. This is really just there to give it a little bit more atmosphere. I make it so it's not just like doon doon and then cutting off right away. After that, I've got a bit of saturator. This just kind of fattens it up. Makes it a bit stronger. It also helps to give it that more like warm feel. Like with this style, you want it to be a bit more like organic and kind of lively sounding, and so saturating your bass is a good way to make it sound really like fat and analog like that. After that, we have the kick, which sounds like this. This is really simple. With this one, it's just this punchy, sort of like bassy kick here. And then the main thing with this one is just like the type of sound. Like, again, like I said, this is bassy, but still very punchy kick where it doesn't have a whole lot of high end to it, but it does have enough where it punches through the mix. It's mostly just giving you this nice, like, powerful thump. So I've got a little bit of saturation on that, just kind of beefing it up a bit. It's just like with the bass, you know, makes it a bit warmer, a bit fatter. Another thing with this kick is you can see I've got a tune, like I said, with the bass. We're in the key of G. And then I had to turn up this D tune a little bit because without that, you can see it's slightly off. So yeah, that's just something to keep in mind, like with your kicks, if you're trying to tune them, you got to make sure you get that D tune as well. I have the kick and the bass in a group together, just kind of processing them together. This is something I typically do. It makes both of these things a lot stronger and it's a lot more powerful in the mix. Here's without them, without any processing. You can hear everything works, but with it, it puts the kick and the bass in the right place in the mix. It's like you really want them to be, you know, really punching through in that low end, and so this is why you need to try and make them as fat as you can together. And so this is why we're doing this. So I've got a bit of saturator here. You can see it's got drive up a bit. That one is really gluing these together. and giving them that last little boost of punch in the mix, as you can hear. And then we have this EQ8, and this is just boosting the low end a bit just to make that a bit stronger. And I'm also cutting the low mid-range to cut out some mud. And that is it for the kick and bass group. So the next thing that we have here is this drum rack, which sounds like this. So all this is we just have these 4 percussion sounds. In this drum rack here, and then I just have them kind of all playing this little pattern here. So I was trying to treat these sort of like one thing. Like I wanted this to be kind of like a loop. So I just put them all in a drum rack together. This is a good technique when you want to, like I said, like kind of make your own percussion loop like this. And then the only effect I have on there is just a bit of saturation. Just kind of beefs everything up, helps to glue it together and make these all have a more even texture. And that is it for that drum rack. The next thing that we have here are these hi-hats, which sound like this. What this is it's just a hi-hat playing on the upbeats. Pretty simple stuff, just kind of like this more organic, like live sounding hi-hat. Which isn't like too sharp and bright. Like this isn't like a lot of deep house where you're trying to get like a very sharp, like you know, hard hitting kind of hi-hat. This is a more like chilled out, just kind of smooth hi-hat, which is what you want with the style. And then underneath that, I just have the shaker here. So I'm counting this as like a hi-hat. You can see here's the pattern on this one. It's just playing straight 16th notes, and then I've got the velocities going up like that. I've also got this add some random velocity preset on here, so this is just giving it even more of like a random velocity. This just helps to bring it to life and make it feel less like a programmed shaker and more like a live like shaker being played. And like I said, this helps with that like organic feel that you want the overall track to have. I have those hi-hats in a group, just got some processing on the group. I typically do this with my hi-hats and shakers and stuff like that. Just kind of makes them more cohesive as opposed to like processing them all on their own. So the first thing we have here is a bit of reverb. This is really subtle, but here's without it. And then with it, so you can hear with this one, it's just giving it a bit of space and a bit more atmosphere. This really helps to bring these hi-hats to life and kind of like put them in the same room. After that, I have a bit of saturation, so this is just kind of giving them a little bit more fatness, a little bit more power, but it's also giving them a more even texture because they're getting that same little bit of saturation on top of them. And then the last thing we have on here is just an EQ8 cutting out the low end, just kind of clean that up. And that is it for the hi-hats. The next thing we have here is this clap, which sounds like this. This one's pretty simple. It's just this like kind of hard hitting, but still very like earthy and analog sounding clap. You know, it's not too like an EDM clap or something like that. It's a bit softer, but it still has the punch to it in the right places. So with this one, I've just got a little bit of reverb, just giving it some space. And I've also got a bit of saturation, which helps not only to give it a bit of punch, but also this kind of brings out the reverb. As you can hear, it makes it feel a bit more even with the clap on its own. That is it for the clap. The next sound we have here is this little operator percussion, which sounds like this. So what this is it's just made using white noise. It's just a bit of white noise with a really short volume envelope going into a bandpass filter, which also has a really short envelope. And then the bandpass filter is being moved by this LFO here. And so this is giving it like some movement and making it feel like the sound is kind of changing, because it's moving that filter frequency, and that's where the pitch of the sound is coming from. But yeah, so this is just something that I noticed in a few of their tracks. This is a very minimal house inspired element. Like this is something you would hear in a lot of minimal house, just something kind of chill and small like this. But it does actually add some nice energy to the background of the track, I feel like. But But yeah, so with this, I just have a bit of saturation. The saturation just kind of helps to take it from sounding like just a dry synth. It makes it feel more like a percussion. Here's without it. And then with it, so yeah. After that, the last sound we have here is just this last little percussion sound, which sounds like this. There you go, you can hear it. It's just that little. So this one is really simple. It's just a percussion sound. I've just got it in a simple here. I've got it high passed a little, just to get rid of any low end so it's not getting in the way of the kick and the bass. But yeah, this is just like a really simple percussion sound. This one though, I will say, especially this one and the last one honestly, are like just important examples of why you need to pay attention to all the little details with a track like this. Is like, it's not just about having one layer of percussion. If I turn these off, you can hear it. It's not really as full sounding as when we have these two little elements in there. So it's just one of those things to think about, like, the little details are just as important as all of the main things, and this percussion illustrates that. So that's me for this one, guys. That is all I have to show you for today. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe, and let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get the project file and samples and MIDI and presets and all of that stuff from this video in the description. And if you're a patron on my Patreon, check that because it's already available. Thank you so much, guys, and I will see you tomorrow with another video.